Before we start the video, I would just like to thank you all for your support on these videos. I really appreciate it. And also to apologize for not getting this one out sooner. I was getting a haircut. Disclaimer, I did in fact get a haircut. No, it was not a month-and-a-half long process. Reminder to like and subscribe. Now, on with the video. Relievers are a strange bunch of baseball players. They're very temperamental and even looked at as weird by their own teammates. They have some of the strangest seasons and career paths ever, so it makes sense that it took a very long time for people to figure out how to assess them properly. I mean, heck, we still aren't really sure how to predict how a reliever's career will go. Some have even won MVP awards in very questionable seasons. I did bring this up in a previous video, and today we're going to talk about one of those MVP winners. Enter Guillermo Willie Hernandez. His 1984 season was such a unique season for a reliever, and possibly one of the best ever. But first, let's get some context. For his career, Willie had an ERA of 3.38, an ERA plus of 119, and a WHIP of 1.245, so nothing wild. Before 1984, he had an ERA plus of 107, a WHIP of 1.353, and 561 innings pitched. After 1984, he had an ERA plus of 119, a WHIP of 1.194, and 343 innings pitched. And now we get to the season, 1984. He had an ERA of 1.92 in 80 games pitched with 140 and a third innings, an ERA plus of 204, and a WHIP of .941. He only gave up a run in 21 out of his 80 outings. For some context as to how this is relating to his own career, his next best year was the following year in 1985. He had an ERA of 2.70, an ERA plus of 151 in 74 games, with 106 and 2/3 innings pitched and a WHIP of 900. So, honestly, this is a really impressive season, pitching a lot of innings as a reliever and genuinely doing extremely well. Before 1984, hits were what gave him the most trouble, and after 1984, it was home runs, most prominently to right-handed hitters, which makes sense because of him being a left-handed reliever. He was striking out more people after 1984, but he was also giving up more home runs, which obviously isn't ideal. The point at which he seems to have made a turn from his elite 1984 self was in August 9th of 1985. It was a blown save and a loss that is where things seemed to really take a downward turn. Up to that point, in 1985, he had an ERA of 1.94 and a home run rate of .8, which is pretty much in line with his 1984 totals. But after that, he had an ERA of 4.82 and a home run rate of 1.9, which is obviously not ideal. So, why did this happen? Why did the home run ball become so much more of an issue for him? Well, unfortunately, without the benefit of much pitch tracking data, it's really hard to tell exactly, but from what I could tell and what I was able to research, Willie expanded his repertoire from mostly a fastball-curveball combination, adding in a screwball and a cutter. A screwball also, by the way, is a form of a changeup, just so that's very clear. The cutter was used to pitch inside to right-handed batters to get bad contact or strikeouts, which is what originally improved for Willie. The screwball worked as an alternative to his initial changeup, which he is even admittedly not very good. Given that he didn't throw especially hard, these were essential to his success as a reliever, limiting the hard contact he got from right-handed hitters. What seemed to probably happen was that he just lost the ability to throw these pitches effectively and couldn't really contain right-handed hitters any longer. But his 1984 season was still incredible, and he actually has a pretty close comparison that is currently active, or at least comparable to his 1984 self. That pitcher is Devin Williams. Willie pretty much threw almost exactly the same as Devin Williams, but from the left side, which is throwing cutters inside to the opposite side hitters, and a changeup away from those same hitters. Additionally, neither one of them threw super hard, especially for the era, so it really is a very close comparison between the two. Honestly, the airbender changeup that Devin Williams throws is probably a good idea of what Willie Hernandez's screwball looked like in '84 especially. The biggest difference between the two, though, is strikeout numbers, but that can also be attributed to the approach at the time, both by hitters and pitchers. Also, Willie threw about 3 times as many innings as what Williams would throw in a season, and nearly reaching qualifying innings as a reliever and a closer should definitely stand for something. Willie Hernandez had a remarkable 1984, being one of the driving forces behind a championship roster, and an argument could be made that he 100% deserved his MVP. But I will leave that for you to discuss in the comments. Thanks for watching.